Hello and welcome to another edition of Florida Sportsman Action Spotter Podcast. I'm Captain Rick Riles. Hey, it's been a busy week. The weather settled down a little bit, and then holy smokes, here comes our first tropical system of the season. So it's been busy. A lot of guys fishing, a lot of guys catching fish. A lot of spring fishing seems to be falling off earlier than it should have due to all this hot weather. We'll see, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a quick stop in Nosara, Costa Rica, and check in with my hero, Craig Sutton. He's wired in on the marlin fishing down there. I want to hear how it's been for them. And then we're going to come to the east coast of Florida, work our way down the east coast, through the Keys, up the west coast, and out the Panhandle. And we're going to have a fun little game tonight. We're going to switch it up a little bit. Instead of asking the guys a deeply philosophical question or a question having a whole lot to do with our conservation, we're going to ask a question specific to their area, and they have to answer it yes, no, or maybe. Like, Rick Riles, would there be more blue marlin off the east coast of Florida in 10 years? My answer is yes, because we're doing a much better job of conserving them, and we're doing a much better job of keeping the longliners, putting pressure on them in the eastern economic zone. So my answer is yes. Somebody else's answer will be no. We'll see how it goes. But let's get it rolling, because this week's Action Spotter and every week is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. By Shimano, bringing people and nature together. By Tournament Master Chum. Oh, it's the best chum on earth, all right. By Nosara Paradise Rentals, your dream vacation. By D.O.A. Lures, the unfair advantage. By Young Boats, the finest in flat span offshore hybrids. By Castaway Hat Co, the hat that's helping save our seas. And by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low prices, every day. All right, it's time to visit paradise. That, of course, can only be one place on earth for me, and that's Nosara, Costa Rica, where Craig Sutton, the purveyor of big game fishing in Nosara, is waiting to talk with us. Craigie, how we doing?
We're doing good, Ricky. Doing real good, man. Just got home from down there Monday, and good yellowfin bite, real good yellowfin bite. Nice size fish. I saw a photo of one that was caught on the school that was 200.
Woo!
Saw a couple when we were fishing them that looked like they were, in that class range, but we couldn't get them to bite ours our day. But they were biting so ravenous. I mean, it was literally seconds before you got a bite. But this just past week we had some nice marlin bite, and I sent you the picture of that big 60-plus pound mahi.
That's isn't that crazy, Craig? It seems like all over, everywhere, it's been a great mahi year.
Well, it's been good for us really the last 2 years. I mean, once we open back up, but it's gotten better and better. And right now the current's already switched. It's gone back the other way, and it doesn't take but about 2 weeks of it going back to the south before those big mahi show up. So let's hope they'll stick around till the end of August.
Oh, that's outstanding. All right, I got a question for you. Your answer has to be yes, no, or maybe.
Oh.
Okay?
Okay.
And it involves your area. You ready?
Yep.
There will be more sport fishing out of Costa Rica in 10 years than there is now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, no, or maybe?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. All right. So you don't feel like the economic downturn, the uncertain world situation, you feel like sport fishing in Costa Rica will continue to flourish?
Absolutely, Ricky. I mean, you can be a negative Nancy about it, but no, your population growth and stuff naturally, means that you're going to have more people sport fishing. It's just, that's the way it is. But I mean, I think the fuel prices are going to affect everybody. It's certainly affected us, but I think there's a large demographic of people that particularly blue water fishing that are going to do it no matter what.
I'm unfortunately for my family and I would be in that demographic. All right, Craig.
Well, but most of those people, if they get into that financial pinch, they'll just downsize boats.
Yeah.
Boats.
Yep, might be a lot of pangas going around here pretty soon, huh?
That's where I was going with it, but I didn't say it. I didn't want to say it, but
Yep.
I went. Let me think. Yeah, Saturday I went 50-something miles and burned 62 gallons.
And you caught what?
2 kingfish, 3 sharks.
Okay. All right, just checking.
Yeah. Come on, negative man.
Gotta love that kingfish fishing. All right, Craigie. I appreciate it, buddy. We'll check with you next week.
Yes, sir.
There's no place like home. It's time for Northeast Florida. I've been fishing out of there in my 60th year now. Time to check in with the man that's got his finger on the pulse of everything Northeast Florida, Captain David Voorhees. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm doing fine, Ricky. Doing fine.
Good. A little kind of a tough week. You didn't like the tides this week, did you?
No, I don't like those early morning rising tides. And this time of year, it gets so hot in the evening. I mean, in the wintertime, hey, I love fishing late in the evening, fishing that evening. But this time of year, the wind picks up, the rainstorms, you got to worry about the heat. It's a little different. You tend to want to fish early in the morning this time of year, just to avoid a lot of the late day scenarios that tend to pop up here in Northeast Florida. And that's, of course, the wind, the rain, and the heat. So, yes. But this, we got a good tides this week. We got some outgoing tides early in the morning. I like it. We're on a good new moon phase, which I like that. But it's been an interesting week, to say the least. There's been some nice trout caught this week. Some guys seeing some good trout in the river. I would suggest if you want to go get that big trout, stay in the river. The hot spot seems to be down around the Dames Point Bridge, which has always been a good spot for big trout and also a good spot for big flounder. A lot of the guys I talked to, Rick, too, are just amazed at how many big reds we're catching and the oversized reds. And there's just so many of them. And some of the guys are thinking that the dredging we've had in the river has pushed these fish into the intercoastal waterway.
It's very possible.
It is possible, and we love, fishermen love speculating, and this is a good one, and, we're seeing a lot of big reds south of the St. Johns River along the intercoastal into the Pablo Creek area, which I love to fish. And, the Wonderwood Bridge is a notorious spot for catching a lot of oversized reds. And, it's a really deep hole. And then you got Johnson Island, which actually has some of the deepest water in the entire area. It gets around 40, 45 feet deep. There's some holes in there. If you know where to look for them, they're in there. And I've managed this week to pull 2 really nice big monster reds out of those Johnson Island holes. And the flounder, the flounder bite's been pretty good this week. A lot of the smaller ones, like I said, you get away from the inlet and you're going to get smaller fish. You get closer to the inlet, the old Coast Guard station always produces some good flounder. And then, you got the ferry slip. That's always been a good spot. And of course, the docks around your house, Ricky, everybody knows about those. But the flounder fishing's been good. Big trout and plenty of big reds.
David, we've got a bunch of family coming in tomorrow. I promised them all fresh flounder. And my grandson, I got up at 6 o'clock this morning. My grandson was already on the dock. He knew he was going to outfish me. The problem is, at daylight, anywhere there's a beach, at daylight, those fish are going to lay up shallow at daylight, David. I don't know if they've been there all night or if they move in there to feed or what it is, but he's out on the dock, so I didn't speak to him. I didn't say a word. I just walked down to the seawall, flipped it in, flipped a dirty boxer in, and snagged one flounder, threw him up on the dock, threw dirty boxer back in, got another one, threw him up on the dock, picked him up, walked back to the house, didn't say a word.
That's cold, Ricky. That's cold, buddy.
Look, I told him, David. I said, shallow water early in the morning for flounder. They'll pull off to the deeper water later. David, I got a question for you. Okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
You have to answer it yes, no, or maybe.
Okay, dope.
Okay?
Okay.
We got what you and I seem to agree are some great redfish regulations now. We've also got 1,600 people a day moving to Florida. All right? Here in Northeast Florida, here's your statement. In Northeast Florida, red fishing will be even better in 10 years than it is now.
Boy. Maybe.
Maybe? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not going to go yes on that one yet. I just, we talked on the radio show about the pressure, and I think there's, it's something we can talk about later. But we got a finite group of fish that we have to fish. You've been saying that forever, and I think we're at the point now. We're about, we're taking what this area gives us. And I think that's why a lot of the guys are not seeing a lot of slot fish, but they're seeing plenty of oversized fish, and they're seeing plenty of little, rat reds, what we call the small rat reds.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll take that as
I don't
maybe.
know.
I agree with you.
Yep.
It'll be fun to find out. David, we appreciate it.
Can I add one other thing? I also wanted to add too. There's been some good tarpon bites going on too. The tarpon is showing up, and it's been a good bite. And the D.O.A. bait buster and the mullet, that's the bait of choice right now for the tarpon.
How big are they?
There's been some nice ones, 60, 70, 80 pounders.
That's good fish. Real good fish. Cap, as always, we appreciate it. Please tell me we can check with you next week.
I will be here, Ricky.
You got it. Captain David Voorhees from right here in Northeast Florida. Time to head down to East Central. But before we do that, let's get a word from Academy Sports and Outdoors. Today's new outdoorsmen have so many advantages over us old-timers. I can only imagine how much easier it would have been to learn and fish and hunt if we had Academy Sports and Outdoors back in the day. Well, get ready, Panama City, because your outdoor experience is about to get a whole lot better. That's because Academy Sports is on the way. They'll assemble your grill and your bikes. They'll bore sight your gun. They'll spool your line. They'll exchange your propane, and they'll do it all at Academy's best price guarantee. The store is coming in late July, but until then, you can shop online at academy.com or go through Academy's mobile app. That's where you can sign up for all the digital ads and offers you need to enhance your outdoor experience. Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. Our thanks to David Voorhees for a great Northeast report. Now, head on down to East Central. That's Jim Ross territory. He is large and in charge. Jim, what's going on in East Central?
Well, the inshore bite right now is pretty good, Rick. The mullet run is going on strong, pretty much all up and down the entire east coast of central east coast. From Sebastian, I fished Sebastian on Thursday. I fished Titusville on Friday. So I was at one end of the county on Thursday and the other end of the county on Friday, and there's mullet everywhere.
Hold on, hold on. You're making me crazy here. Now this certainly isn't the fall mullet run starting already.
No.
This is them just getting here.
This is our spring mullet run, just getting here.
Okay.
That typically happens in April or early May, but they're here now, and they're here in force. So there's, you just want to make sure that you're fishing around the bait fish. If you're not around bait fish, you are wasting your time. There's no fish on any flat that I've seen anyway that doesn't have bait fish on it. Another interesting thing that I hadn't ever had happen before. I was fishing on Friday up in the north end of the river, and there were bonnet head sharks all over the flat. I came into the flat that I wanted to fish and just saw pushes everywhere. Well, once the sun came up and we could see what they were bonnet heads. And I've never seen, that many bonnet heads on one flat before, even in the Keys. So it's pretty interesting. I'm not sure what they were there feeding on or what they were doing, but they weren't chasing the mullet around, but they were definitely in this one particular flat up by the north bombing target. And like I said, I've never seen that many sharks, that many, any kind of shark, but that many bonnetheads in particular in our estuaries in that concentration on such a small area of flat, maybe 500 or 600 yards long. It was really interesting to me.
Jim, have you ever eaten one?
No, I have not.
On our Northeast podcaster, Captain David Voorhees, is a retired chef.
Uh-huh.
And he was a chef at a high-end restaurant. He said one of the 2 or 3 best tasting fish you will ever eat from anywhere in the world.
Really?
Said
that's interesting.
Here's the secret. You gut him the minute you catch him. You pack him in ice, and if you're already on land, you can cut his head off.
Gotcha.
But he said it is so good. He said you won't believe. He said of the shark family, it's better than mako, and mako is at the top of the shark family.
Well, I'm going to have to go back there then.
Yep, you got to try one. You got to let us know.
So the thing he was saying was you immediately gut it.
Gut it and ice it. Yep.
Okay.
And
gut it and pack it full of ice, kind of like you would with a tuna.
Right. If you're on land, you can go ahead and remove the head. If you're not, you can't. But
gotcha.
And I don't really know that that's true. Well, yeah, it'd be to identify the species of shark. Yeah, that would be true. You'd have to. So I was going to say because there's no size limit on them, but to identify the species of shark, you'd have to leave the head on. But if you'll gut him, you'll find him to be absolutely delicious.
I'm gonna have to give that a try.
I understand. Yep. But you heard anything from the offshore boys at all?
No, we had the big FSFA tournament was supposed to be this weekend, the 53rd annual, and they postponed it because of the because of the storm going by.
Sure.
Even in the last couple of days, I didn't really hear much. The exception being the party boat did get out, and they were catching beeliners pretty good on the Pelican Flats Reef, about midway down the reef between Canaveral and the south end that's down towards Melbourne Beach and Indian Atlantic Beach. So, vermilions were red hot. They were getting them. They had a couple of mangroves and a couple of muttons in there as well, but the vermilions were the big ticket item.
All right, we're playing a new game tonight called Yes, No, or Maybe. Okay?
Okay.
Those are your 3 answers. Here's your statement. Are you ready?
Sure.
Mosquito Lagoon will be healthier 10 years from now than it is right now.
And it's a yes, no, or maybe.
That's right.
I'm going to give it a no.
Okay.
The reason I'm going to the Mosquito Lagoon, I'm going to give a no. The reason I give it a no is because the Space Center is ramping up every day, and there are more and more pollutants going into the south end of the Mosquito Lagoon every day. So I'm going to say the Mosquito Lagoon, no. The Indian River and Banana River from 528 south to Sebastian, I'm going to give that a yes, because we do have the 3 estuaries that are here locally. I'm going to give that a yes, and there's a couple of reasons. One, education. People are learning that lawn fertilizer is lagoon poison and don't apply it to your grass. 2, the cleanup efforts that are going on from the Save Our Indian River Lagoon tax fund is helping to clean muck and dredge out estuaries like Turkey Creek, Crane Creek, all of these estuaries that are full of muck and then discharging into the main lagoon system. So that's being cleaned up. And 3, our wastewater stormwater management is getting better. It's not great. It's never going to be great, but it's getting better. So I would say no to mosquito, yes to middle and southern Indian, and yes to the banana.
Got it. Perfect. Thank you, Jim. Please tell me we can check with you next week.
I look forward to it, Rick.
Me too, buddy, every week. Our thanks to Jim Ross for a great East Central report. Now, let's head on down to Miami and check in with the mayor of Coconut Grove himself, Captain Alan Sherman. Alan, how are you?
Coconut Grove?
Well,
I'm good.
I had to grab a new place out of midair.
I hear you.
How's your fishing this week?
Well, it was really good. especially the offshore stuff. A lot of nice kingfish up to 30-something pounds, and blackfin tunas, bonitas, a few sailfish, a few wahoo, a few dolphin. So there was plenty of action to be had.
Good.
Of course, now we've had this big storm come through, and always, whatever fishing you had doesn't necessarily mean it'll be the same when you get back out on the water after it. But things have calmed down really quick. Beautiful day today, and looks like we're going to have some really nice weather for the rest of the week. So the fishing's been around 100 feet out to, say, 160. The kingfish that they're catching are like the summer kings. These fish are spawning fish, and they can be anywhere from feeding on the surface to almost to the bottom. So the guys doing the best are putting baits halfway to the bottom and then fishing baits on the surface as well. The surface baits are getting the sailfish, the dolphin, some of the blackfin tunas that, especially if you're fishing those baits late in the afternoon, that's when the bigger blackfin tunas are still being caught. There's some bottom fish to be caught on the wrecks, some nice groupers and amberjacks. Saw the other day at the boat ramp, a guy had a mystic grouper. You don't see many of them on this side of the Bahamas. No, wasn't a big fish, maybe 5-8 pounds, something like that. But one of the first ones I've seen on our side. Bay fishing. Wish I had something good to say about the bay fishing, but I really don't. There's been some snook and tarpon in the ocean inlets, but they've dumped so much fresh water because of the storm that we had that I'm not sure how our fishery will rebound, how quickly it will rebound after what the water that they're pushing through. I imagine they'll be pumping water out of the neighborhoods and the glades for a couple of days, if not longer. So
did the glades get a ton of rain?
Oh,
Alan?
Yeah, definitely did. Yeah, and it's going to change the peacock and maybe not the peacock, but definitely the largemouth bass fishing. Going to allow those fish to scatter out onto the flats of the conservation areas. So that always makes things a lot more difficult. Other than that, and that was a great fishery. Your peacocks will still be in the canals. It's just now they have more area to spread out.
Yep, that's what I always love about low tide. Make the environment smaller and the fish are closer together. That only makes sense.
Definitely, for sure.
Hey, Alan, before you go, we're going to play a little game tonight called Yes, No, or Maybe. You ready?
I'm ready.
I'm going to give you a statement, and you're going to answer it. Yes, no, or maybe. Okay? We will be losing more fish to sharks in 10 years.
Oh, yes, for sure, because we're losing more fish now than we've ever lost before.
And you don't think we'll pass any measures to solve it?
Well, who knows? Time will only tell. What would you do?
You'd open up the harvest to the ridgeback sharks again.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. It's gun control, all that stuff. It's all up to the politicians. But we can push and all. Somebody's got to make that decision, though.
I'm going to sound horrible putting it this way, but I want people to understand what I mean by this. The only thing that's going to cause people to suddenly say, okay, let's start harvesting sharks, is if they have trouble on the beaches with sharks. And you know where I'm going with that.
Oh, yeah.
And, I'd hate to see that happen, but without it, we're going to keep right on losing a lot of great fish to sharks. A shark eating a great fish, a big tuna, a big mahi, a sailfish, any of these big fish, a snook, is just a lose-lose. The fish dies, and you don't get the fish.
No, I know. You talk to the guys that fish flamingo, Everglades National Park, religiously, they're going to tell you they struggle to get a fish out of the water before a shark gets it.
In the park?
In the park. It's
wow.
Snook, redfish, sea trout. We had a gaff top catfish get eaten by a shark. In all my career, I had not ever had that happen.
A sail cat.
We put that other half of that catfish out, and we caught that shark. It was 11. But just recently, days later, another fellow fisherman, I saw the video, had the same thing happen. A catfish getting eaten by a shark right at the boat.
That's
so
crazy.
If they're eating catfish, that tells you they're starving.
Yeah, that's not good. Yeah,
No.
Cap, I agree with you. We appreciate it, and I look forward to talking with you next week.
All right, take care.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Alan. You know, I recently had a chance to stop by D.O.A. World Headquarters in Stuart, Florida, where I was not the least bit surprised to see company founder Mark Nichols hard at work on a new fish catching invention. What was surprising to me was the fact he was working on the original D.O.A. shrimp, the same shrimp that he patented in 1985. The stealthiest bait ever made, the only bait that lands so subtly that spooky fish will never hear it coming, was getting Mark's full attention. "What are you doing?" was the obvious question. Mark looked at me sideways. "I've never stopped working on the shrimp," he said. "It's got to catch more fish every year, so I've got to make each one better than the last. I've got all the production in-house now, and that means that today's 3 and 4 inch shrimp are consistently the best we've ever made. You know what? I get it now. The D.O.A. shrimp that fooled 1 million fish in 1985 has had to keep up with the times to keep making your fishing better. More than ever, today's fish are spooky, and the 2022 version of the D.O.A. shrimp is the stealthiest, most lifelike, deadliest bait you can throw." Now, let's hop across the state real quick and check in with one Captain Steve Dahl. Steve, how we doing?
Oh, we're doing fantastic.
Good. How's life in 10,000 Islands?
Oh, it's silver because we got the tarpon are just going nuts this week.
Oh, yeah?
Great. Yeah, it's been good. It's been real good. Real strong tarpon bite for the first couple hours in the morning. Crabs seem to have been the deal this week. I would imagine. I'd like hopefully say that'll continue. Albeit crabs are very expensive right now, so I'd maybe prefer if they ate something else. But albeit it's been really good. I mean, multiple hookups, in a couple hours every morning, and then we're heading and we're snook fishing. The snook fishing really turned on too. So get some pilchards. That's really what they're chewing most. If you want to use some artificials on some of the lower tides, you can still catch them, but pilchards are certainly the deal on the inshore side. So that's kind of what we got on the inshore side.
That's interesting. How about offshore? What have you heard?
Offshore has been pretty good. I mean, the cobia and the permit bite is as strong as it's been in a long time. And I could just end there because those are two fish I just absolutely love catching.
Oh, I would too. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're not far either. We're talking, 5 to 12 miles, from shore. Not big runs at all, so you don't have to burn a ton of gas right now to be able to catch those fish. The cobia, pretty typical. They're eating crabs. They'll eat the crabs with the permit, which is kind of cool. So you don't have to burn a ton of bait. They will chase some lures, but for the most part, it's kind of a crab deal all the way around. So crabs, load up in the morning. You can catch tarpon, permit. Obviously, you're going to need different sizes, but it's been pretty good. And then the snapper bite for the guys getting way offshore have been really good. And the first run of the American Reds has been really good. So some really good reports out of probably 120 to 140 feet of water out, pretty much due west of Naples, a little southwest of Naples. And that bite's been really strong on the wedges out there. So it's been pretty strong.
Hey, Steve, let me ask you, have you ever thrown a gulp eel at a cobia?
I have not thrown a gulp eel. I've thrown a lot of eel baits, but I've never thrown a gulp one. Should I?
Yeah, you should. Try that one.
Okay.
And see how you like it. All right, we're playing a new game tonight. You ready?
Yeah, fire away.
It's called Yes, No, or Maybe. Okay? And okay. I tried to tailor it to each one of you guys' areas. And here's mine for you, because I'm seeing some changes afoot. All right? Mm-hmm. In 10 years, you will still be triple tail fishing on a regular basis.
No.
Yeah, you think not, huh?
I really do. I just don't. We've talked long and hard, you and I, about. I don't want to necessarily call it the demise because I try to be a glass half full type of guy, but there's definitely been the last 2 years have been just not indicative of what I've experienced in my time down here, and it's kind of sad. I mean, I know everything kind of goes in cycles in the fishing world, and we're all willing to accept that if we're out there all the time, but I'm just not seeing it. Next year's a pretty pivotal year for me. I'm just this past year I didn't really put a ton of time to it because I just don't want to waste the time. But if I'll start again, in the fall, when I always do it. January, February are usually my two favorite months to do it, and if I'm not seeing it, that's just going to add to me saying no, because I don't know where they've gone. I don't know what has happened. I'd like to think it's a little bit of over harvesting, but
I
it's
hate
a catch and kill fish,
I hate to tell you this, but there are, I don't know about you, I can only speak for my area, obviously. In my area, there is 100 times more triple tail fishermen than we had 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's like we've talked about, I like being a steward and, teaching people things, and we obviously do a really good job at Florida Sportsman at educating folks, and but I think this is a really good example of maybe just this becoming too popular, and when it was kind of just like a little hidden gem for charter boat captains and recreation guys in the know, and it's to no fault. I mean, that's what we're here for, to be able to teach, and I think a lot of us are find the reward in that, but on the flip side, it may be hurting us in the long run. So we'll have to keep an eye on that one.
Yep. All right. Great answer, Steve. We appreciate it as always. Please tell me we can check with you next week.
Oh, you can count on it.
Thanks, buddy. Captain Steve Dahl from right there in Southwest Florida. Hey, tonight's East Coast, our trip down the East Coast, was brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. By Tournament Master Chum. Oh, it's the best chum on earth, all right. By D.O.A. Lures, the unfair advantage. And by the Castaway Hat Co, the hat that's helping save our seas. Our thanks to Steve Dahl for a great 10,000 Islands report. Time for Southwest Florida and one Greg Stamper. Greg, how we doing?
I'm doing very well, Rick. We got through a little bit of weather, and now life is back to normal.
That's a wonderful thing. Talked to Steve. He said the tarpon are wearing him out. Tell me about up there.
Yeah, I think last time we spoke, I talked a little bit about how the rain will influence the juvenile tarpon bite for me in the back cave, and that has certainly happened. The fish are coming out now. The one thing I need a little more of is I need some smaller bait, like the small white bait, maybe glass minnows. Give me a little bit more of that where they are, and they're going to be really happy. But they have come out of the rivers and the creeks, and they're definitely going to be here now for, who knows, Rick, 3-4 months.
Oh, good. That's a very good thing. What are you catching besides tarpon?
So, kind of an interesting thing. I think last year we had a very similar pattern. The snook and the redfish, apparently they own timeshares in our area, and they kind of rotate. So right now, the snook all have moved down here for a little while. They've taken over where the redfish used to live, and the redfish are kind of back where the snook used to be. So we have a little switch in the whole instrument that we actually go after, and that means the snook are where normally I would be cut baiting for red, catching snook now. And now when I'm in the back throwing white bait or snook, I'm catching redfish.
What's your favorite cut bait?
Ooh, man, I tell you what, it's hard to beat a ladyfish, but I'll be honest with you, there's a couple others out there. A fresh mullet is really good, especially the smaller one. And even Rick, if it's really tough, ballyhoo.
Huh. Now, I haven't seen that. Now, you're not talking about buying store-bought frozen ballyhoo, are you?
Well, occasionally I will catch them when I'm throwing my net on the flats, and then I go ahead and I freeze them. I salt them first, and then I freeze them. But honestly, Rick, I think you could use frozen, yes.
Wow. Hey, how about that for a tip for the day? I'll be darned. Hey, I got a question for you.
All
right? We've tried to do this for every area for each guy, and I thought about your area down there. And where you are is becoming so populated, and it's getting a lot of fishing pressure. Economy's changing. We all know that. So give me a yes, no, or maybe. In 10 years, there will be more fishing guides out of your area.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one qualifier is everybody wants to be a fishing guide, but they don't realize you actually have to put people on fishing.
that you're not actually fishing for yourself. So you'll get the thin out from there. But to be honest with you, over the years, in the last 15, 20 years, it's doubled or maybe even tripled in the size. You get a lot of part-time guys that have other jobs but have the availability to have a few days off. So you get more and more of that.
Mm-hmm. And so many guys, I've said this 1,000 times, and I won't belabor the point, but fishing guides so often don't understand they're in the entertainment business.
You are right.
If you want to be in the fishing business, go buy a commercial boat. If you want to be in the business of entertaining people and showing them a good time, then you can use the fish as your medium of something to talk about while you're out there. But make no mistake about it, you're in the business of showing them a good time. Greg, as always, we appreciate it so much. Please tell me we can check with you next week.
Oh, absolutely, Rick. I'll have a bunch of red snapper stuff to talk about then.
Oh, just stop it. We get 2 days over here this year, Stamper. You hear me? 2 days. That's all we get. There. Now
obviously there's none there, right?
Right, because they're so endangered. Let that steam off for tonight. Thank you, Cap.
All right, tight lines, Rick.
We're going to head on up to West Central, but before we do that, we need to get a word from the Castaway Hat Company. You know, I bet you don't even remember the days us cool kids would rub baby oil mixed with iodine to help get our skin get even darker in the summertime. Being burnt was cool, and even if you weren't a surfing legend, oh, you sure looked the part. Man, have we paid the price for our vanity. We never knew the skin problems and health damage that awaited us. Today's fishermen have the options of being so much healthier in the sun than we ever thought of, thanks in no small part to the Castaway Hat Company, who not only provide our podcasters with the Castaway straw hats, but they also make the coolest prints you ever saw on the underside of the brims. You may think your bimini top or T-top blocks the sun, but as an awful lot of us OGs can tell you, you can't have enough protection from sun damage. Do what we do. Put on the sunblock and put on your Castaway straw hat. You'll look the part of today's best anglers, and you'll even be helping the environment. For each Castaway hat sold, the Castaway Company will pay to have 1 pound of trash removed from our waterways. The burning Florida sun won't be roasting your skin, and believe me, when you age a few years, you'll thank us old guys with a lifetime on the water. So go to CastawayHatCo.com and get your best sun protection today. That's CastawayHatCo.com. Castaway Hat Company, a hat for every adventure.
You know what Yamaha Outboards love? The genuine formula and consistency of Yamalu marine engine oils.
What?
Outboards are subjected to punishing conditions like high loads, salt, and humidity, a mix that automotive oils can't handle. Yamalu full synthetic and marine performance formulas are certified to protect against friction and corrosion for reliable performance every time. Find Yamalu marine oils at your nearest Yamaha Outboard dealer. Locate them at YamahaOutboards.com/dealers. Yamaha, reliability starts here.
Hey, Raj, being consistent is the mark of a quality product. If you've been Florida's #1 chum for over 10 years, there's got to be a reason.
For 10 years, Tournament Master Chum has lived up to his name. That's why more tournament pros insist on Tournament Master than any other chum. It's the only chum with Menhaden milk mixed right in. That means it gets the scent out faster and deeper than any other brand of chum. It comes in a grind size for every species from kingfish to catching bait. Your fishing time is way too precious to you second-rate chum. Bring the action to you by insisting on Tournament Master Chum. It's worth every penny.
When you're ready for the finest in custom-made flat spay or inshore-offshore hybrids, you are ready to meet the Young family in Inglis, Florida. For over 21 years, the Young family has built custom boats one at a time for every type of fishing. Nothing can sneak up on a flat quite like the Gulf Shore flats boats, and I've never fished a better hybrid than the Young 24s and 27s. Rob Young is a naval architect who takes tremendous pride in each and every build for each and every customer that wants their boat custom built exactly the way they want it. Is it time for you to move up? Are you ready to own the finest boat built? Then you need to visit the Young Boat facility in Inglis, Florida, or check them out online at youngboats.com. Our thanks to Greg Stamper for a great Southwest report. Now, let's move on up to West Central and check in with one Ray Markham. Raymond, how are you?
Fantastic.
Good deal. Glad to hear it. How was your fishing this week?
Very good, actually. I fished different parts of Tampa Bay. Some areas were very good. Some areas were, still recovering, but, it's showing some signs of life. So, it depends on where you are. And it seems like that's the way it is fishing anyway, but even more so in this neck of the woods when we're still trying to recover from red tide and all the other stuff that's going on. We've got some issues with seagrass dying off, and it's creating some problems for topwater fishing because as that grass dies, it starts creating a gas or something that forms and actually makes the grass float as it's dying off. So you had a lot of floating grass, which normally we would see just around the month of August or so when we start getting some extreme heat. But right now we're just dealing with it pretty much Sarasota Bay, Jersey Bay, Tampa Bay, Bogachiga Bay. I mean, it's all over. So you're cleaning a lot of lures off when you cast, but we've been catching a bunch of fish though.
That's a good thing. That's a very good thing. All right, what are you catching?
Well, we've had some exceptional days with snook. We had 15 snook the other day to 34 inches. So, and all of it was pretty much on Cal shad. But it's interesting. We caught trout to about, I guess it's around 18 inches. We had redfish. Redfish were not big for a change. They were in the mid-slot range, around 22, 24. We had bluefish. We had lots and lots of jacks and ladyfish. One very small flounder, which is kind of makes me hopeful for the fall of the year when we typically have more flounder in here. So the fishing inshore, I can't say was bad at all. I mean, we've been fishing around rain coming up all week with this tropical mess that's down south and kind of moved off, but I think actually that was helping the fishing a little bit because we had overcast skies most of the time, and the fish don't seem to mind that one little bit.
No, keep the light down and the water temp down. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very surprised I didn't know about that seagrass issue you were talking, because I know a lot about creating gas. All right, I got a question for you. Okay,
I got an answer. All right.
You have to give me a yes, no, or a maybe. Okay,
oh,
you ready?
Sure.
Ray Markham, we're learning more about red tide every day. In your area, in 10 years, will we have more red tide or less? Yes, we will. No, I messed that up. We will have more red tide in 10 years.
Will we have more red tide in 10 years?
Yes.
Honestly, I think the last 4 or 5 years have been a real wake-up call. And I think there's a lot of political pressure on politicians to make sure that things are going in a different direction. And in that, I mean, less pollution, hopefully, changing the way that they're doing things around here, getting infrastructure worked on and getting it straightened out, and the things that have been actually contributing to the red tide. I do hope that it's going to get better. I think the acknowledgement that we do need to make some changes, and the fact that Governor DeSantis has also pitched in a bunch of money to help change things a little bit and get it on the road to right. I'm hopeful that things will get better.
I like it. Ray, great report, great answer to the question. Please tell me we can check with you next week.
Absolutely.
You got it. Okay, Ray Markham. Let's go to Mexico Beach and check in with one Captain Kevin Lanier. Kevin, how we doing?
Hey, Captain Rick, I'm tired.
Since June 1st, I bet you've been running a little bit.
We have. Let's see, day's June 5th, and we've ran 6 trips already.
Good deal. Hey, yeah. Lonnie, Donnie, and Cooter are high wire guys in Alabama working on the cables, right? And they get finished one day, and they start down the line, and Cooter falls to his death. Well, Ronnie and Lonnie, they don't know what to do, and Ronnie says, well, we got to go tell his wife. And Lonnie says, yeah, I'm the older brother. I'll go do it. So about 45 minutes later, Lonnie comes back with a case of beer under his arm. And Ronnie says, boy, where'd you get that beer? And he says, well, Cooter's wife gave it to me. He said, wait a minute. You went over to her house to tell her that her husband was dead and she gave you a case of beer? And he said, well, that's not quite how it went. He said, I knocked on the door and she answered the door and I said, you must be Cooter's widow. She said, I ain't no widow. And I said, I'll bet you a case of beer you are. I don't know why I had to tell that right there, but I loved it. Right.
Okay.
Tell me about your thoughts on snapper season.
Captain Rick, it is opened up with a bang. It has been almost sick as far as the fish and what we're getting. Today, we set a personal best on the boat. We got a 32.25-pound red snapper.
Ooh,
biggest one I've ever seen.
That's a mule. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it did. It was huge. We just posted it up on our Instagram page, and biggest one today we got. Today we got a boat limit of red snapper, a boat limit of gag grouper.
Wow!
And just a phenomenal day on the water. And we actually wound up coming back early because we were full, and we just and every day has been like that as far as the snapper goes. This best grouper day I've ever had in the summertime today.
How about that?
Oh yeah, they were chewing like there was no tomorrow. I mean, we kept reeling up, and every time we turned around, it was another gag, and it was like, oh my gosh, because I know I've shared with you in the past that gag grouper fishing has not been that great in the summer, but today it was phenomenal, and the red snapper have been quality red snapper. We've probably got close to a dozen snapper over 15 pounds, so it's really good right now, and it's everything that I expected it to be when we started. And I will tell you, we got a mangrove snapper just yesterday that we didn't scale him, but he was probably in the 10 to 12 pound range.
That's a good one.
Huge.
That's a good one. There ain't no doubt. I'll tell you what. Those are, those big mangroves like that are gorgeous to me. Kevin, I don't think they eat that good when they get that big. Do you?
Well, we had that dilemma, Captain Rick, of if I encourage, I always talk to my customers and I say, look, the best tasting fish out here are like that 8 to 12 pound range, red snapper and all that stuff. The trophies are wonderful, but, for just eaters and, you do what you can and they take them home.
Yeah. That's fine. They have a right to. They're in their legal limits. They paid their money to go. I don't blame them a bit. But I'll tell you what, and I've always said this about cobia. If I've got an 80 pounder and you got an 18 pounder, I want to make a deal.
Yeah, I'll trade you. I will.
That's it.
Honestly.
I'm being very honest. Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather have a boatload of really nice beeliners than I would have big red snapper. I mean, I think they taste better. That's just me. But, I'll take grouper over any time. But it's just been a phenomenal opener, and I really don't see it slowing down when the recreational season opens over here either. So, we just keep going from hole to hole so we're not fishing anything out.
That's fantastic. All right. Yes, no, or maybe. Okay? Those are the three answers I want you to give me. And here's your statement for tonight. Okay? Here we go.
Okay.
In 10 years, we will have a higher limit, meaning a bigger bag limit. We can keep more red snapper than we can right now.
No.
Okay. You think we're keeping as many as we should?
Well, you didn't ask me if I should.
You're right.
Should.
Yeah, you're right.
Now, right now, I think yes, we should. I would almost take more days than I would take bigger daily limit.
Mm-hmm.
Because get us into the spring, get us into the spring and the fall, get us out of the summer spawn. Because it's not the regulations we're under right now is not about the fish. I mean, it might have a little bit to do, but it's more about economics, politics,
sure it is,
and tourism.
Sure,
okay.
Yep.
But I don't see us without some fundamental changes in hierarchy of seeing anything. Problem is, once you start something, it takes an act of Congress to change it, and it's just not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. I understand. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I tell you what, all us on the East Coast are awfully jealous of your seasons and your limits on the West Coast. We appreciate it, Cap. We'll talk with you next week.
Captain Rick, I'll be here next week. Probably be just a little more tired than I am tonight, but we'll talk to you then.
You're glad to see the season get here, and man, are you glad to see it close, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of like, well, never mind. It's kind of like when family comes to visit.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Cap. Our thanks to Captain Kevin Lanier for a great Northwest report. Now we're going to head on out to Destin, get a live word from the water as he heads back to the dock. Captain Tyler Massey. Let me see if I can play Karnak the Magnificent here. I predict you have a red snapper in your fish box.
No, Rick, I actually do not have a red snapper.
I blew it. Oh, no.
But the only reason is because we didn't target any red snapper this afternoon.
I see. All right, tell me about your fishing.
We all red snapper fishing. I got the same crew yesterday and today in the afternoon. We did red snapper yesterday, and we caught king mackerel today. So
I got you.
We switched it up a little bit. Yeah, but fishing's been great. Bottom fishing for the guys who can't catch red snapper yet. Vermilion snapper bite is excellent. The guys are going a little deeper, catching some scamps, and gag groupers opened up. So any rock, rock ledge and let's say, 180 foot to 300 foot, you got a chance to catch your groupers, and that's, mostly live bait fishing. Big dead baits work as well. Just fishing real tight to the bottom on that natural ledge.
Outstanding. So your snapper season's off to a good start. Plenty of fish.
Yeah, it's been good. We're not catching very many big fish right now. We had a little bit of a change in our conditions out front. We got a lot of current and stuff that's been blasting, so it's been hard to pick out the big ones. But we're catching plenty of keepers, and it's been good fishing.
Fantastic. That's an outstanding report. Hey, I got a question for you. Out in the Panhandle where you are, the population's gotten crazy. I mean, obviously, that highway stretch along there right now through Destin is a sight to behold. Are you going to have more tourism in 10 years, or is Destin going to kind of lose its bloom and you're not going to have as many people? Hold on, let me put that another way. You're going to have more tourism in 10 years than you do now. Yes, no, or maybe?
Maybe. The only reason, anywhere on the Gulf Coast over here, from Panama City to Pensacola Beach, it's we're almost. It feels like we're at max capacity.
Yep.
It's like they're gonna have to do some building and infrastructure work for us to get any more tourists than we have. So it definitely could happen, but I kind of feel like we're almost to the peak of what we can handle.
I don't disagree a bit. That's a great answer. I think maybe it's tenuous, because you're right. Every new person you put on there, there's not room for them anymore. There's no doubt. Cap, we appreciate it so much. I know you're going to be running hard all through the season here, and I appreciate you keeping up with us. If it's all right, we'll talk with you next week.
Sounds good, Rick. We'll see you.
Okay. Captain Tyler Massey for out in Destin, where the snapper and grouper fishing is very, very good, and they got lots of people there taking advantage of it. Hey, it's been a fun trip around the state tonight. Boy, the West Coast guys are all about the red snapper, aren't they? Their season's open for their charter boats, and they are loving it. Glad to hear about some cobia down around 10,000 Islands and in the southwest area, because it has not been a great cobia season for most of the state. Boy, nobody's very optimistic about triple tail and the future of that fishery. I don't know. Jim Ross not very optimistic about the future of Mosquito Lagoon. So it's been interesting. I know I've certainly enjoyed it. I hope you have too. Here's what I want you to do. Obviously, we'd love for you to subscribe to our podcast, but I'd also love to hear from you about topics you'd like us to talk about. If you'll reach out to me, rick@floridasportsman.com, I promise I will do what I can to get your topic on the air and get the guy's opinion on it. And in the meantime, our trip up the West Coast this evening was brought to you by Shimano. They're bringing people and nature together. By Nosara Paradise Rentals, your dream billfish destination. By Young Boats, the finest in flat span offshore hybrids. And by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. For Florida Sportsman Magazine, until next week, I'm Captain Rick Riles, and we'll see you on the water.